Scouting points are earned every week. Use all your points, as a portion of the remaining points will be lost when you advance the week. Start your week by installing your game plan.
This is Madden 19. I'm the coach. You're locked into the NFL on EA Sports. Straight ahead, the NFL's active leader in passing yards, Drew Brees, and the New Orleans Saints face off with Jameis Winston and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'll have scores around the league for you at the half, but it's time for a little football. So we'll hand it over to our broadcast team, Brandon Godden and Charles Davis.
We are just a few miles from the Gulf Coast of Florida at Raymond James Stadium here in Tampa. Just a minute ago, it was Jameis Winston leading his Buccaneers out of the tunnel. They're on their feet here in Tampa as the Bucs get set to match up with Drew Brees and the New Orleans Saints. Hi again, everyone. Brandon Gaudin alongside Charles Davis. And Charles, you take a look at this Buccaneer ball club. They've handled all comers through the first 3 months, a perfect 12-0.
Yeah, they're 3/4 of the way to a perfect season, and now's where it really starts to get into your mind. We'll see if it affects their play in any way.
Meanwhile, for the visiting Saints, whatever promise they had to start the season fully evaporated now as they come in losers of 6 straight.
And sometimes when you're in the middle of a losing streak, being on the road is exactly what you want. You can only depend on each other. Let's see if they can use that as fuel in this ball game.
On the return, it's Ted Ginn Jr. And it's a pretty good return here as he'll get it up to the 29-yard line. And here come the Saints for their opening drive. They're led out by their 6-foot quarterback. You may have heard of him. From Purdue, it's Drew Brees.
Would you say that last week's performance by him, workmanlike in terms of numbers?
1 touchdown, 1 pick, but obviously a loss.
Yeah, and that's the bottom line for him. All he cares about is how do we find a way to win the game. Maybe leans on a few other parts of the offense and hopefully springs a receiver or two free.
Ready. You waiting?
A first carry now. This is Alvin Kamara. And this defense feeling the encouragement. They stop him at the line of scrimmage on the first play of the afternoon. No gain on the play. It'll be 2nd down. Let's get a quick look at the Saints offense.
And we'll see the second half of their dynamic duo in the backfield, and that's Alvin Kamara, who in 2017, the NFL Offensive Rookie of the Year. How about this? Over 1,500 total yards and 13 total touchdowns in a debut performance. Expect more of the same and probably a little bit extra.
On 2nd down, Kamara. And he works his way forward for a couple up past the 30. A look at the Buccaneers starters now on defense. They were very strong last week in the win over Carolina.
Yeah, they pitched a shutout in that game, didn't they? And those don't come around all that often in the NFL. The ability to keep someone out of the end zone and also from kicking one through the post. Well done.
Here we go.
An early tough test on the opening drive. This is 3rd and 8.
Ready. You waiting?
Shotgun now for Brees. It's incomplete. Took a shot, couldn't connect.
So that certainly looked like something that they discussed all week in practice getting ready for this one. Take the big shot right out of the gate. At worst, You'll open up the defense a little bit, loosen them up, have them back on their heels.
And that one hits a little too close to the goal line, and it continues into the end zone for a touchback. So out come the Bucs now for their first drive. They'll be under the command of the former Florida State Seminole, the #1 overall pick in 2015, Jameis Winston.
He threw for nearly 350 yards. His team won, and one word just kept coming to mind as I watched him during the game: surgical. Absolutely surgical. That's why he won NFC Offensive Player of the Week.
Yeah, very precise. The throws maybe as accurate as he's been in some time.
Yeah, I think he feels pretty locked in here, and I think he feels like he can get it done again in this one, too.
Now here's a pass on first down that's knocked away and incomplete. And a peek now at the offense for Tampa Bay.
And Deshaun Jackson is the guy that your eyes naturally gravitate towards because he is a big play waiting to happen. In his career, usually averages about 20 yards a catch. Last season in 2017, closer to 13 yards per catch. Look for him to be recommitted to getting back downfield and catching the long ball.
And a first carry here for Charles Sims. And that one blown up quickly, as he's going to be stopped before he could even get started. They'll wind up losing 3 yards here. And it'll be a third and about 13.
Ready. Blue ready.
Here's Winston. Oh, he almost picked it. Nearly a turnover there on their opening drive. And that's a throw he'd like to have back. Now 4th down.
Not only was the call spot on, how about the execution of that defense right there? The zone was absolutely locked up tight. He was trying to force it in there on 3rd down.
But if there's a time... Oh, here's pressure, and the Saints block it. It's picked up. Remember, the ball is live. An early special teams wake-up call there. Their first drive, and they have the punt block.
And obviously they were giving the ball up, but that's not the way it's supposed to conclude. That ball's supposed to be downfield, better field position for your defense to work off of. Instead, you've given up a momentum play, and now you've got the other side excited.
Out comes the Saints offensive unit and the NFC playoff race. Let's have a look at it. And I tell you, 4 weeks still to go, and everything is wide open, and it's fun.
And I know we always talk about, well, if the playoffs were to begin today, and then we kind of go, okay, but they're not. Let's see how it plays out. Wouldn't it be fun to play with this playoff lineup right now? Because to me, just about anyone can win this whole thing out of this grouping we currently have. And by the time we get there, it may look entirely different.
Meanwhile, here's a shot for the end zone right away, but it's incomplete. They'll go again from the 3 here on 2nd and goal. They come out here in the eye. They'll look to run with Ingram. And he is in for the score. Touchdown, New Orleans. Mark Ingram, his 6th touchdown of the season. And the Saints have taken the early lead. And they're able to run it in. It started with a battle in the trenches. They won there, and they got in for 6 points.
And that's going to be a tough one for the defense to deal with. They've got to go to the bench now and figure out how are we going to slow down this running game, because on that particular play, they had no answer.
Will Lutz on for the point after. Lutz good on the extra point, and that makes the score 7-0. Well, that drive started with not a whole lot of real estate in front of them. In plus territory, excellent field position. 2 plays later, pay dirt. Morstead, the punter, out to kick it off. This is taken about 7 yards deep. And this return net's positive as he gets past the 25 and up to the 27-yard line. With the Bucs offense making their way back out on the field, let's take a look at the playoff picture, Charles, coming into the weekend in the NFC. And for them, it's no longer a question of will they make the playoffs. They've clinched the division title. The question, can they hold on to that #1 seed?
And this is where the mental fortitude comes to play, doesn't it? Because now you're not just the coach talking about it, it's team talking about it to each other. supporting each other, carrying each other along, because having that #1 seed means everything in the NFL.
It does. So even though the division title's clinched, shouldn't take the foot off the gas.
No, not at all. Play it all the way through. And I think we've seen that in recent years in the NFL. The teams that play and play to win each and every game, they're the ones to deal with in the playoffs.
Let's have a look at the defensive starters for New Orleans. They're in the spot statistically that you don't want to be in against the pass. Number 32 in the league, dead last.
And I think you're going to see some changes in the offseason, whether it's through the draft, free agency, maybe even both. They definitely need some help in the secondary.
2nd and 10 now from the 27. A second down throw for Winston. It's brought in by Adam Humphries. And he'll get it up near the 35, right at the 34 here. The reception good for 7. It's 3rd down.
Defensively here, you're facing a top-5 team in terms of points scored in the NFL. So when they're that high-powered, you've got to find a way to hold them under 20, because to me, that's the magic number. 20 points scored gives yourself you give yourself your best chance to win.
So if they're up around 24, 28, 30, they could be in some trouble.
And I think so, because then you turn it into a shootout, and that means your offense has to keep pace.
A second down completion got him 7. Now here's 3rd and 3.
Ready. Ready.
Jameis to throw it. He's got Evans. And he slips up past the 45 before being tackled. First catch there for Evans. Good enough for a 1st down. That's what we're used to seeing from him right there. Plays like that, why he's number 4 in the league in terms of receiving yardage.
Able to make adjustments all along the way. Doesn't matter where he lines up, where he releases from. Working his way into the secondary, figures out defenses and finds weak spots in order to get open.
On 1st and 10, Winston. Oh, that was dangerous. Threw it into coverage, almost picked, but instead they'll keep it on 2nd down.
And that's one he's got to be happy to have back. There wasn't a hole open in the zone.
You have to think on early downs like that 1st down there, need to be a little bit more careful.
Yeah, fortunately for him, got a couple more downs to play with.
After the incomplete pass, here now is 2nd and 10. Sims. Look at the spin. And able to break one tackle, but then quickly brought down. But a nice little gain. Give him 10 yards on the pickup, and that's going to make it 3rd down and less than a yard.
Despite the blitz, they're still able to pick up a nice solid gain. The disadvantage of blitzing often alters the normal spacing and run fits and leaves creases like they were able to exploit right there.
Ready.
3rd and short yardage. Winston. He finds Humphries. And they'll wind up getting this one all the way down inside the 20. And they're able to convert on 3rd with a solid gain of 23.
Quarterbacks love slant routes because the receivers are breaking right into their line of vision, and receivers love them as well because they're getting the ball on the move and able to catch it and try and get upfield and gain additional yardage.
From the red zone now, Winston. His throw caught at about the 5. Pretty darn good, as you see right there on your screen.
I'll echo that. Darn good. 2 touchdowns, right? And the ability to be in sync with each other, right? To understand that he's going to be where the quarterback expects him to be when the ball's thrown. As far as tight ends go, this guy's not a speed burner. He's much more of an inline blocking type of a tight end. But how about this last play?
And he's got his tight end, Howard. It's a Buccaneer touchdown. O.J. Howard, his 4th touchdown on the year. And the Buccaneers are an extra